Hello, this is Nightline and I'm Raymond Go. News making the headlines. Singapore to listen to Malaysia's Batu Putih reclamation argument. And first batch of Littoral combat ship reduced to 5 vessels. Good morning. Malaysia and Singapore have agreed to conduct negotiations on the reclamation of land at Pulau Batu Putih. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, however, said this would not affect the previous decision made by the International Court of Justice, ICJ. Datuk Seri Anwar has urged Singapore to examine the reclamations as it could leave an impact on the environment and the country's border. Following the request, Singaporean Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong has agreed to look into the reasons given by the Malaysian task force before making a final decision.
Yang dipertikaikan ialah tentang beberapa langkah penambakan yang dilakukan. Tapi Perdana Menteri Singapura setuju supaya perkara ini dimasukkan apa alasan-alasan yang kita kemukakan, sama ada kerosakan dari segi persekitaran atau hal-hal yang bersangkut sempadan yang perlu didengilingkan secara teliti sebelum dimuktamadkan. Ya. Tapi ini tidak menjejaskan keputusan yang telah dibuat oleh ICJ.
Speaking to the Malaysian media at the end of his official visit to the Republic on Monday, Datuk Seri Anwar also stressed that he wanted the negotiations between the two countries to be held in a peaceful manner. Previously, it was reported that the act of withdrawing a judicial review application over the ICJ decision on the Batu Putih, Batuan Tengah and Tubir Selatan claim was not in order and improper. The issues relating to Batu Putih are of vital importance as it relates to the strategic interests and sovereignty of the nation. Earlier, Datuk Seri Anwar and his Singaporean counterpart Lee Hsien Loong witnessed the signing of 3 Memoranda of Understanding MOUs. This is to promote cooperation in new and emerging areas, specifically on digital and green economies and cyber security. The 2 frameworks involving cooperation in the digital economy and the green economy were signed by International Trade and Industry Minister Datuk Seri Tengku Zafrul Abdul Aziz and his counterpart Gan Kim Yong on behalf of Singapore. Communications and Digital Minister Fahmi Fadzil, meanwhile, represented the country to sign a Memorandum of Understanding MOU to promote cooperation from the aspects of data, cyber security and the digital economy. In his speech, Datuk Seri Anwar assured Prime Minister Lee that all those areas will be managed for the benefits of both countries.
Saya bagi pihak rakan-rakan Malaysia ingin memberi keyakinan kepada Perdana Menteri dalam apa saja bidang, ya, termasuk ekonomi hijau, itu adalah bidang yang boleh kita uruskan untuk kepentingan kedua-dua negara. Dan saya percaya banyak yang harus dilakukan dan tidak harus ada kebimbangan kerana semua bidang yang boleh dipelajari dari Malaysia atau yang dipelajari daripada Singapura.
Datuk Seri Anwar added that this meeting provided an opportunity to explore forms of cooperation to further improve Malaysia-Singapore bilateral relations. He invited Singapore to cooperate on food security issues for the benefit of both countries. The Prime Minister also welcomed the Singapore leader to make an official visit to Malaysia soon. Datuk Seri Anwar's official visit to the Republic got underway Monday morning as the aircraft carrying the Prime Minister and his wife, Datuk Seri Dr. Wan Azizah Wan Ismail, touched down at Changi International Airport at about 9:40 a.m. He was greeted on arrival by the Republic's Minister for Foreign Affairs, Dr. Vivian Balakrishnan, and Foreign Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Zamri Abdul Kadir. The Prime Minister's tight schedule kicked off with an official welcoming ceremony held at the Istana. Datuk Seri Anwar wasted little time and sprang to action on his first visit to Singapore since taking office last November, attending a pre-council meeting with government officials at the Malaysian High Commission. After that, he was feted at a welcome ceremony by the host nation before attending an orchid naming event and making a courtesy call on Singapore President Halimah Yacob at the Istana at 11:20 a.m. Dato' Sri Anwar then had a face-to-face meeting with Singapore Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong at the palace to emphasize flourishing bilateral ties between the two ASEAN countries. The procurement of the first batch of the Littoral combat ship LCS has been reduced from 6 to 5 vessels after the application to continue the project was discussed again by the government. Navy Chief Admiral Dato' Abdul Rahman Ayub said this decision was made some time ago when the government decided to continue the LCS project last year. He said the 6th supplementary agreement on the LCS project would be signed soon to enable the following process to take place and the construction to be carried out as planned. The LCS project, said to be the largest defence procurement in Malaysia's history, came under much scrutiny last year after the Public Accounts Committee revealed that not a single ship had been completed, although Putrajaya had already paid out 6.08 billion ringgit on the project. Based on the original schedule, 5 of the 6 LCS vessels should have been completed and handed over by August last year. The District Court of Luxembourg has decided to set aside an attachment order requested by heirs of the late Sultan of Sulu due to their deceitful and fraudulent conduct. According to the court, the claimant's conduct constituted a manifestly illicit hardship that is detrimental to Malaysia. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Law and Institutional Reform, Dato' Sri Azalina Othman Said, in a statement said that the court found that the heirs had opted not to reveal their real addresses, adding that this omission was significant to the court. She said that the court found that the claimant's conduct impeded the service of documents and the enforcement of the potential judgment to be rendered against them. She said the omission was typical of the manner in which the claimants had consistently conducted themselves in their claim against Malaysia, and as such, it comes as no surprise that the claimant's case failed at the first instance. Dato' Sri Azalina reiterated that Putrajaya will continue in its effort to protect and preserve Malaysia's interests and sovereignty, while taking necessary action to put an end to the claimant's fictitious claim. Last Tuesday, the District Court of Luxembourg set aside the attachment order requested by the claimants over the $14.92 billion arbitration award they won against Malaysia on July 11, 2022. The alleged Sulu heirs claimed that the Sulu Sultanate had only given a lease for Sabah in exchange for a purported rent of 5,300 ringgit every year. But Malaysia insists that the Sulu Sultanate had 144 years ago given away Sabah in return for the yearly payment. The number of flood evacuees in Johor, Sabah and Pahang continue to drop as of Monday night. Currently, over 3,000 people have been evacuated to temporary relief centres in all 3 flood-affected states. According to the Info Bencana JKM portal, the number of evacuees in Johor has dropped to 2,113 from 2,157 people. The State Disaster Management Committee Secretariat said currently the evacuees are being housed at 21 relief centres in 5 districts. In Sabah, the number of flood victims also showed a drop, with 878 people being housed at 6 temporary evacuation centres compared to the 1,211 victims recorded at 4 p.m. In Pahang, meanwhile, the State Disaster Management Committee reported that only 27 people are being housed at 1 relief centre in Rompin. The assessment of house damage for the purpose of providing assistance to flood victims will be conducted thoroughly, with priority given to badly affected houses. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi, who is also the Minister of Rural and Regional Development, said the ministry, together with the district officers, will work together to assess the damage caused by the floods. Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid said he has requested the cooperation of the state-elected representatives, members of parliament, district officers and the state government so that assistance can be implemented smoothly.
Pengalaman yang lalu memperlihatkan bahawa apabila berlaku banjir, sejumlah mangsa telah dikelar pasti, tetapi apabila bantuan mahu diberikan, jumlah itu mungkin bertambah atas faktor-faktor yang diketahui sendiri oleh ketua isi rumah itu.
He said this to reporters after handing over contributions to 968 families at the Flood Relief Centre at Sekolah Kebangsaan Pitas on Monday. He said the ministry was also assessing the damage to roads affected by floods in the country. Commenting on his visit to Pitas, Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid said it was to survey the areas affected by the floods in Sabah. He added that although the situation is improving and many victims have returned to their homes, several areas in Sabah are in the post-flood phase, where focus will be placed on cleaning and repairing the affected houses. Nearly 10% of companies nationwide have defaulted in paying their sales and services tax SST, causing the country to lose almost 150 million ringgit in revenue. Customs Deputy Director General for Enforcement and Compliance, Datuk Sazali Muhammad, said actions will be taken against defaulting companies, including barring their board members from travelling abroad. He said on average, only 90% of companies manage to meet the set regulations when paying their taxes, while the other 10% defaulted.
Jadi ahli-ahli lembaga pengarah ni, kalau kita dah kenakan sekatan, kalau dia nak keluar negara, akan menjadi satu masalah, tak dapat nak keluar negara. Itu salah satu antara tindakan yang kita boleh ambil lah untuk memastikan pembayar cukai itu membayar cukai dengan betul lah.
Datuk Sazali said this to the media at the hand-holding SST Ikra Betul Bayar Betul program in Putrajaya on Monday. He added that those with tax arrears will also be subjected to a penalty higher than the amount of tax due or court action if necessary. It was reported that tax collection for 2022 was 53.54 billion ringgit, which is an increase of 25.97% or 11.03 billion ringgit compared to the collection in 2021. Dato' Sazali noted that this is due to increased collection from tax components such as sales tax, service tax, excise duty, import duty and levies. He said the department this year is targeting a revenue collection of 52 billion ringgit. Still to come, mosque suicide bombing leaves dozens dead. Stay tuned. Indonesian police on Monday said a local trader, namely of industrial-grade chemicals, has sold their products as pharmaceutical-grade, leading to their use in medicated syrups that authorities suspect may have caused deaths of more than 200 children across the country. Authorities said two ingredients, ethylene glycol and diethylene glycol, found in some syrup-based paracetamol medications are linked to the acute kidney injury which many of the children suffered. The two ingredients are usually used in antifreeze, brake fluids and other industrial applications, but also as a cheaper alternative in some pharmaceutical products to glycerin, a solvent or thickening agent in many cough syrups. It can be toxic and can lead to acute kidney injury. Following the discovery, police have arrested and charged officials of the trader and its distributor. More suspects are expected to be named as the investigation continues. A deadly blast at a mosque inside a police headquarters in Pakistan on Monday has killed at least 32 worshippers and wounded 150 others. It was believed that there were some 260 people inside the mosque when the blast occurred, and many of the casualties were police officers who had gathered for daily prayers. According to authorities, the blast came from the second row of worshippers, with bomb disposal teams probing the possibility of a suicide attack. Police said many worshippers were still trapped inside, while heavy machinery and fire brigades were combing the ruins in a frantic rescue operation. It was reported that the attack occurred during afternoon prayers in the northwestern city of Peshawar, close to former tribal areas that border Afghanistan, where militancy has been steadily rising. So far, no one has claimed responsibility for the blast. Two gunmen in South Africa opened fire on a group of people celebrating a birthday in a township eastern Cape Province, killing at least 8 people and wounding 3 others. Officials said the owner of the house was celebrating his birthday when the unknown attackers entered the yard on Sunday evening and started shooting at the guests. It was reported that the homeowner was among the deceased, while 3 injured are still fighting for their lives in the hospital. The gunmen fled after the attack, and so far no arrests have been made. An investigation has been launched into the shooting, and police said a manhunt for the perpetrators was underway. Back with sports football, the German Bundesliga. Borussia Dortmund cruised past host Bayer Leverkusen 2-0 on Sunday for their third win in 3 league matches since the Bundesliga resumed after the winter break, climbing to within 3 points of the top spot. Goals from Karim Adeyemi and a second half own goal from Edmund Tapsoba gave Dortmund a comfortable victory and snapped Leverkusen's 5-game winning run in the Bundesliga, dropping them to 9th place. Dortmund's third straight victory moved them up to 4th place on 34 points, 3 off leaders Bayern Munich and 1 behind 3rd place RB Leipzig. Leverkusen are on 24 in 9th place. Woman charged with murder of e-hailing driver. This and more after the short break. Welcome back. Malaysia welcomes successful Malaysian clinical researchers based in the United Kingdom, UK, to share and contribute their expertise to the country. These highly skilled professionals in the field of medicine could transform the issue of brain drain into brain gain back home. The matter was addressed by Health Minister Dr. Zaliha Mustafa after attending a forum to further expand the conduct of clinical research collaborations between the UK and Malaysia. TV3 correspondent Haliza Hashim reports from London.
Dr. Zaliha was speaking at a forum titled UK-Malaysia Clinical Research Partnership, Making It Happen, attended by over 80 Malaysian doctors, clinical researchers and medical students. The event, organised by Clinical Research Malaysia, CRM, aimed to explore partnerships and opportunities in training and development, which could further improve the capabilities of Malaysia's clinical researchers, especially in the fields of cardiology and oncology.
They are having their own expertise, as well as they are high skills people that actually can contribute to the part of research in Malaysia. When we want to have a better policy, a good policy that is very targeted and a good result.
The forum panelists are Malaysians based at prestigious UK universities, industries and hospitals who shared their experiences and insights. Among them, Associate Professor of Cardiovascular Medicine, University of Oxford, Dr. Masliza Mahmood, Consultant Clinical Pharmacologist, University of Cambridge, Dr. Joseph Cherian, Medical Director Clinical Development, AstraZeneca Cambridge, Dr. Nubli Mustafa, and Consultant Thoracic Surgeon at the Royal Brompton Hospital, London, Professor Eric Lim.
Now they are established in their own field, and this is where they provide the platform to train more Malaysian and also to collaborate with us in Malaysia again for clinical trials and etc. So they are, in terms of our ambassadors in clinical trials and research. Today, they have suggested that we should have a registry in terms of to map where are our researchers in UK or even in Australia and etc.
During her two-day working visit, Dr. Zaliha also met with Malaysian medical experts currently serving in the UK to discuss healthcare reform in Malaysia. She attended a forum titled Building a Resilient Healthcare System, the Future of Medical Research Collaboration between Malaysia and UK, organised by the Oxford University Malaysia Club and CRM. Halisa Hashim, TV3, London.
In Kelantan, a security guard was remanded for 7 days until February 5th in connection with the death of a man who was beaten up by a group of people near Pulau Melaka in Kota Baru on Sunday. The remand order against the 32-year-old security guard was issued by Magistrate Muhammad Fitri Mokhtar to facilitate investigation under the Penal Code. In the 7 p.m. incident, a man in his 20s died after being involved in a scuffle with several men in Pulau Melaka. It was learned that before the brawl, the man had assaulted a female cook before going after a security guard of a religious school. It was believed that the victim suffered from some form of mental disorder. At least 12 individuals, including students from a religious school, were detained by police to facilitate investigations. In Sabah, a woman was charged in the Tawau Magistrates Court on Monday with the murder of an e-hailing driver in an oil palm plantation more than 2 weeks ago. No plea was recorded from 33-year-old Nurima Juli, who is unemployed as the case falls under the jurisdiction of the High Court. According to the charge sheet, Nurima and several individuals still at large are accused of murdering 61-year-old Norman Bakaratu near Jalan Anjor Juala, Tawau, between 7:30 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. on January 13th. Nurima is charged under the Penal Code and faces the death sentence if found guilty. Magistrate Zul Elmi Yunus set March 6 for mention. Previously, it was reported that 8 policemen, including 4 senior officers who were attached to the Eastern Sabah Security Command, ESCOM, have been arrested in connection with the case. Up Nightline this time around, let's take a look at the 2023 Free Ride World Tour in Spain, representing the best of big mountains competitions with the world's best snowboard and ski riders. With that, I'm Raymond. Thanks for tuning in and stay safe.